It's 5:30 p.m. The town manager is not here this evening, and I don't think he had a chance to send out an agenda or some of those items prior to the meeting. The agenda is very straightforward. We have consideration of the minutes, which the town manager sent out about a week and a half ago or so. We have public comment, and then we sent around a draft recommendation building upon what we discussed at the last meeting. And so the majority of tonight's meeting will be dedicated to reaching consensus, tweaking that if necessary, and ultimately reaching consensus on a final recommendation to go to the select board. I anticipate that this is our final meeting. We set the goal of 6 months. We are coming to the end of our 6-month timeline, and so we're right on track to be able to deliver a recommendation to the select board by the end of the month. So without further ado, is there a motion to approve or consider the minutes of 2 weeks ago, June 8th?
So moved. I had no changes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any edits or changes or recommendations or on the minutes of June 8th? Discussion.
Kevin Marker's name in one of the paragraphs is Kevin Marker.
All right.
That's the only thing that I noticed.
Good catch.
Probably the one, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th paragraph down. It says Brad Rich and Kevin Market, then made comment.
He is correct.
We will note that edit. Any further discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of, actually, we'll need to do a roll call. So we will do a roll call on the minutes with that amendment. I will go to you, Kevin.
Aye.
Brad.
Aye.
I vote aye.
Aye.
Ms. DeGoma online.
She cannot use voice right now. She can.
I can say aye. Yes, sorry. I can-
Okay, yep, she can say aye, and she did. All right, we will move to a public comment portion of the agenda.
Is that the only one?
We have Dan Kiley here in the room with us. Dan, if there's anything you'd like to say, you're welcome. Give you
Well, I
the floor.
haven't seen the last minute, so I don't know. All I've heard is that you're proposing, or you have some sort of a consensus on 5 and 6 being sold and 4 and 5 being natural.
No,
No.
4 and 5. Keeping 4 and 5, selling 6, which is the little teeny one,
Okay,
and selling 3 when the lease comes up, or however that.
Recommending that the select board consider selling parcel 3 upon the conclusion of its current lease encumbrance.
I guess,
That is exactly what it says.
I
Yeah.
guess from a land use standpoint, you're going to end up with 4 non-conforming lots again.
Right.
And boy, I would have liked to have seen you say, I'd like that you put 4, 5, and 6 together, which would give you a conforming lot. And leave 3 as open nature.
So what is the value of a conforming lot?
Well, it's the value, it's, you can build on. If you leave it as it is today, there's no lot there you can build on.
Well, you still have the grandfathered
The
footprint
grandfather footprint on 3.
Yeah, well, no, on 3 or in 5.
on 3.
3, 5 is gonna get ripped down.
The A-frame's getting written down.
3 has a cabin on it, Dan.
Well, yeah, it has a shed.
No, 3 has the house.
3 has a house.
Small house, small size.
Oh, yeah, okay, on that footprint. Yeah, okay, so you can build on that.
You can, you have the footprint grandfathered. yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I guess I would say to the select board, don't merge lots. Okay, because at some point you may want to merge lots.
We didn't make a recommendation, or
No,
or we haven't.
That's why I'm
Discussed.
talking over there.
Yeah, yeah.
My recommendation to Alice is don't merge the lots.
Yeah, tell me more.
Well, because if you merge the lots, what's going to happen, if you merge 3 and 4, that's not a problem. That gives you an acre. If you merge 5 and 6, that doesn't help you. But if you were to merge 4, 5, and 6, you would have enough, you'd have a conforming lot.
I don't
Okay,
understand what the, so,
Means it,
If
means
it's
it
not-
falls within
it's gotta
zoning
be
and
an
you can
acre.
build on it.
you can build on.
So,
You
so
could build
we
a
don't
real
care
house.
about that because we don't ever want to build on it, right?
Right.
But I think what Dan is saying, in the future, if
Right.
the town needed to sell it, you'd want to be able to make it conforming by combining the lots.
Right. And if you were to merge them now, if you went to unmerge them, then you would have non-conforming lots again. Which zoning probably wouldn't let you do, and I know planning wouldn't let you do it. So
Yeah.
I would just, I mean, if you do 5 and 6, I don't care, they can merge those. But I would not merge 3 and 4 together at this point,
We haven't talked about
no.
Yeah.
merger
That's
as a,
why I'm
as a
talking.
consideration. We haven't recommended a
No,
merger.
I leave that to you guys.
I'm talking to Alice, actually.
well, then I have some homework to do
Because
before I
it's
try to
gonna be-
figure
Well,
that
it's
out.
actually
It's
pretty
gonna be
simple. I
daily
mean,
decisions.
for the immediate future, it doesn't matter. But
Right.
if the
Okay.
town were to do something else with these lots, which we don't want them to do anything else with,
Right,
AKA if the town really needed money and you sold it all, you'd want to combine them so it's buildable, so you'd get 1.1 million for the land versus
That's right.
now it's not worth very much because
Right.
it's not too
Yeah.
small to build on.
right,
Our charge was
exactly, to come up with a recommendation.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm just,
keep or sell the property and how to use it if it's retained.
right, I'm
So-
just getting it in the minutes.
Okay,
That's all. I mean,
Future-
obviously,
Future decision, yeah.
Yeah,
Dr. Beaufait online, I see your hand is up. Is there anything you'd like to share this evening? Dr. Beaufait, can you hear us?
He's probably getting a cocktail.
Sorry, yes, I can. You got me now?
Yeah.
I do, yep,
Can you hear me?
we can hear you.
Okay. I've spoken, happened to cross paths with a couple of the members of the committee regarding other things in the interim since the last meeting, and I know that Dan and I feel in opposite directions about the ultimate goal for these properties. But I was disappointed to see the consensus or straw consensus going to selling any of those properties. I think it should be retained as a public park and not be looking to sell it or sell parts of it. And if that was the I don't think it's this committee's goal to talk about zoning or merging or anything like that. That's another discussion.
To
So
your point,
that
Dave,
would
I
be
think,
where-
I think what we were trying to do was compromise. And we talked, if you listened to the last meeting, I can't remember if you were here.
I
we
was.
went round and
I was.
round. Yeah,
I
we went
was.
round and round and round, and that was the compromise.
And I realize that is a compromise that is hard to swallow for some members of the committee, and would recommend in that situation, if they feel strongly, to submit a minority report and rather than go along with a strong arm consensus.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts this evening, Dr. Beaufait, before we move into our final deliberations?
No, happy to listen on. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
So does that conclude the public comments?
That concludes the public comment portion of the agenda. And at this point, we will move into our deliberative portion.
So what do we have? Two things that, to go over the recommendation.
Yep.
And then Ed was supposed to get us costs, right?
Costs for,
Dismantling the A-frame and the cost to improve the road for the 2 or 3 handicapped
Yeah.
parking
he
spaces.
did, some of
I
that
think-
was in.
I think he said it's like, don't quote me, and he was saying it was like 25 or 30,000.
Yeah, we can't go with,
Yeah,
you know, we gotta have
It's in one of
Yeah,
the.
it's in the
meetings, I
minutes.
can't-
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's demolition is estimated at $15,000, annual maintenance estimated between $500 and $1,000.
My question to Ed, he's not here.
Yeah.
How did he arrive at those? Did he get quotes for the demolition? Because the reason I'm asking is that I recently had got quotes to demolish something that was a lot more than that. And I'm concerned, what happens if it's 40,000? You know, I'm just curious how he arrived at it.
Yeah, I don't know how he derived his estimate, or if he was looking at using force account labor with, some town staff.
Yeah.
Being part of that crew or not to realize some efficiencies cost wise.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But he was pretty confident in the $15,000 figure.
Yeah.
Last meeting.
Anyways, I digress a little. Sorry about that.
No, I
Yeah,
think it's
no,
a
no
good question because I think ongoing costs is really important.
Well, I mean, it's really
That's
important,
right,
right? I mean,
it's ongoing.
look at what the town passed for an increase, right, this year?
Yeah.
16.7% in operating budget, it's a big number. And so every bit helps and, 20,000, 25,000 doesn't sound like a lot, but what happens if suddenly there's a large disposal cost and it goes up to 35,000? What happens? Where does that money come from? Maybe where's it come from?
I don't know, nothing's come to CIP on it.
Yeah, so those are my questions on that piece. I just want to be a little bit more comfortable with where he got the numbers.
Yeah, and I don't know, where he derived those numbers from, but he's been pretty consistent in those numbers throughout our meetings here in the spring. I know that the $15,000 figure for demolition that's in the minutes, he's been pretty consistent on and seems to have reasonably high level of confidence in, so where he derived that figure, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm okay with taking him at his word that that's a defensible cost estimate. Unfortunately, he's not here to
Right.
add context to that, but so we left off last meeting with kind of a high level consensus about future use, or at least disposition of the properties. In talking with Ed, we both thought it would be kind of helpful to put a draft together that gets into a little more detail about some of the particular use items. So I did that. I put this together and Ed and I bounced it back and forth until we were both comfortable with it. And then Ed sent it to everybody to take a look at as kind of grist for the mill for this meeting. It's not to say that what's in here is perfect or
No, but
couldn't be tweaked, but at least it's a starting point to help move the discussion.
From my opinion, it reflects what we talked about.
Yeah.
Now, whether we all still agree in that direction is another question, but I think it reflects where we ended last meeting.
So I wrote this as sort of,
Is it possible to read that?
almost, yeah. Yeah, I
It's
only
too
have
hard to read.
one paper copy and don't have access handy for the electronic version, but Kevin, do you have it? No? Do you have email? If I forwarded you an email, could you open it up and put it on the screen? Maybe it'd be better to have it on the screen. Oh, you can't get it on that
My email
computer.
on my computer, so I
You
can't
can't
get it on
that
this one.
computer.
Because this one's only set up, I believe, for like Elisa, Ed and
Well, let me ask you a question.
senior supervisors.
Won't this enter into the minutes?
It will. I just was thinking it might be handy to have it on the screen if we
So
could.
it'll
but
be in the minutes, Dave, at the end of the meeting, so you'll be able to see it then.
I think we have, Dave, unfortunately, some electronic limitations in terms of what Kevin can access on this Microsoft Teams machine.
I'm gonna join the Teams meeting
Okay,
and then I'll share my screen.
that might be
You could
possible.
email it to me then.
Not sure if that would help make the money.
We'll put it on the screen and
I don't
it
believe
should be
Ed
not-
wanted it out in the public
Yeah.
yet.
Well,
Because Cause no, this is the
This is
paper that I
not
asked
anything
him
that's
if he-
approved. It's really a working thing that we're
Yeah.
gonna be editing today. I mean, I think it's okay if we wanted to just
We
put
can
it on this,
share it,
yeah,
yeah.
just for our
Put it
own
on the
purposes.
screen, but not, not email.
Of redlining it, so to speak, but it's
Yeah.
not,
Have that.
it's not a final,
Just
and it's heavily watermarked as a discussion draft for that reason.
Okay, this is gonna take me a minute. I'm not,
Well, take your time.
Did you go to the,
Enfield.nh.
Yeah.
My internet here is good. And then like
There she is.
Johnston properties.
You got it.
You got it.
It's upside down, but that's okay.
Fun. Is it?
no, it's
That's
the,
not me.
it's
Go up, did the mountains go that way?
Actually, it's not,
That's not me.
it's.
Oh, that's,
That's, that's
Yeah,
central.
Oh, it's a lot.
That's-
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Looks like mountains from here though.
Yeah,
I don't know how to make it bigger.
Here, I think that I can make it bigger.
Technology.
I'm out of here.
Well, he might be able to expand it on his screen.
Right,
or
you
if,
lost it.
if Alice is a
There you go,
co-host.
there you go, there you go.
There you go.
Now Alice, you can share your screen.
Now you can share it.
And then you should have the big,
You're doing fine, Alice.
I know. I hate this. I'm like, oh my God.
do you feel pressured?
Yeah, I
Is
don't,
everybody
like,
looking at you?
self-imposed, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not hearing anything and I think, and my chat is apparently blocked. Maybe you can hear me.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, on the map, it says Northern Rail Trail parking, like.
You can add that because people added.
Yeah, so I was also concerned about, they do that on the rail trail maps. They do those little things that show you where the parking spots are.
Yeah.
Like, what if somebody very helpfully
What stage?
pops a little thing on there? And it's like, there's parking here.
It really doesn't matter, though. It's so far away that it's not really applicable for people with mobility issues.
I mean, for this parking, if we put this parking in and they put it on the rail trail, it's a parking area,
I see what you're saying.
being helpful.
It just says ADA parking. Only.
And we can be told that, we can't enforce that.
How do you know if you can enforce it?
Oh,
Well,
Are
like,
we
I mean,
making
we can
inferences that
do
the
like a
police
thought
aren't gonna be
experiment,
capable
like
of
what would
determining
we
whether
do?
it's a
I don't
disability
think
plate or
it's a high
placard?
priority for them to drive down and check, do you? I mean, they got other things to worry about other than that, but.
Yeah.
I think to Dan's point, it's unenforceable and.
Well, even if, they're gonna go down there 2 or 3 times a day. We know that. They
Do we?
better be.
Do we know that they're gonna go down there two
Well,
or
they
three times a
better
day?
be.
Oh,
The PD.
Do we really think that there's gonna be that much of
I
public
don't think
safety
there's
down
going
there
to
all the
be,
time?
to be very truth,
Yeah,
it's not accessible to me. And I don't have mobility issues, but I'm not gonna walk a half an hour to get there,
yeah, my car won't go down that road,
right? Where are you gonna park it?
You have no place to park it,
yeah,
your car.
but I'm just saying
But the
whether or
road
not
will
I.
be,
have-
the road will be repaired so that your car could go down. But once you get down there,
There's no place to
there's
put
no
it.
place to park if you
Right.
follow the rules.
so here in line, what I keep coming back to is we're making a recommendation that 2 parcels of the 4 parcels be retained and
Right.
maintained and potentially improved through demolition or the
Right.
provision of
For
picnic
public
tables or
use.
other things for public recreational
I hear you.
waterfront use.
I hear you.
And if we say that the only access to that period is walk, bike and water access, which I agree should be the primary form of access, that is inherently exclusionary to
Right.
people with mobility disabilities. And they can't access that town asset that their taxpayer dollars are going into retaining and maintaining and potentially improving. And that's exclusionary.
Right,
I think it reads well right now.
We
let it go.
bounced it back and forth to try to figure out how to make it as painless as possible while still giving people an opportunity, if they have a legitimate handicap, to be able to enjoy the
Right.
property without opening, hopefully, too much of a can of worms. And that's how we ended up at this wording.
Yeah.
Tying it specifically to disability plates and placards, notwithstanding whether or not we think it's enforceable or not, or whether or not, but the intent would be that it be open only to those with disability plates and placards pursuant to state RSA. And that 3 vehicles with disability plates and placards would be able to access the property. So where are we at on it? Cause I'm not entirely, I think we've got some potential. I think it's an important thing that we need to make a recommendation one way or another to the select board about. And I'm not gonna be on board with a recommendation that I will be the minority report if we end up saying that people with mobility challenges can't access the property.
I can't. Yeah, I can't do that.
Right.
Too much experience, no.
I'll let it go.
That's fine.
Are you okay with how it's written?
I think what I
And
would say,
select board
what I
can
would,
figure
the
out
way I
how
would
to
answer your
enforce it.
question is no,
Don't worry about it.
but I'm willing to let it go.
The police
Okay.
decide it needs to be ticketed.
All right.
ticketed.
In a effort to
It's an
compromise.
ongoing
Okay.
And the
expense
chance,
for the
and the
town.
chance that there's 3 cars with non-plates on it are probably not that high. That there'll be at least one spot, because I don't think you're gonna see more than one at a time.
But what it does, which I don't think we can avoid, but what it does is it opens it to vehicle traffic.
It's coming.
And that means that when Kevin's down there with 50 kids, that there's gonna be cars coming down, dropping off people, potentially,
Right.
and turning around and parking in Barbara's driveway or whatever.
But we can't
Can't,
Can't-
advise against all
Can't do that.
possibilities.
can't solve that problem.
It's not our,
But it,
not our job.
but it will happen.
Right.
Can those online hear us now? I thought I saw, I can hear now.
Yes, we're good. I
Okay.
can hear.
So let me go to you, then, Ms. DeGoma, on 4A, 1 and 2. Are you okay with the language there? Item 4A, 1 and 2 on the recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, we're not the ones to figure out how that can happen. So it's a recommendation at this point, then having it there makes sense to me. I just don't know how it would be enforced, but I'm not sure that that's our task. So
All right, so yeah, before we sent this out, obviously I mentioned Ed and I bounced it back and forth and we were both comfortable with how this was written. So it sounds like we can all live with it, even though it's, there's nothing perfect or easy about any recommendation related to this property, but all we can do is the best we can do.
well, I think also the language later on in the document does say there will be some monitoring. And so if there's misuse, then it can get revisited. So I think that fits into the misuse of the road.
Okay. So let's move to 4B then. Is it possible to have the document back up or did we lose
I
that?
think it was my sharing that was screwing.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, because once you got off, Ed even said
It's
that.
more important that people can hear.
Yeah, I will read, I will read each item and then we could discuss each item and go from there. So we are on 4B. Existing structures on parcels 4 and 5 should be demolished. Everybody in agreement with that recommendation? That would be the A-frame primarily, but any structures on
There's a
parcels 4
little
and 5.
trailer or something. Do we wanna include the estimated cost in this document? Or not? What do you think?
It's a recommendation. We don't recommend size.
Yeah, I mean, the
Yeah,
price has
that's true.
changed.
That's true. Okay.
Everybody okay? Ms. DeGoma online, 4B?
I'm good.
Okay. 4C. Interpretive/educational signage should be erected in conjunction with the Mascoma Lake Association related to lake flora and fauna and responsible public use of the property. That was one of the recommendations that when we met with the Mascoma Lake Association, they said they would be happy to partner with the town on, in educational or interpretive signage about how to respect the property and what plants and the flora and fauna are on the, on the Mascoma Lake. How do people feel about that recommendation?
Fine.
Excellent.
Good. Ms. DeGoma, 4C, are you okay with that? Oh, we lost her.
I think something's wrong with the meeting, because everything Ed told me to check, this is on, on,
She's back.
it keeps kicking people out. Don't know what's going on.
Yeah, he's back.
Can you hear us, Ms. DeGoma?
Yes, I'm not sure the room keeps kicking me out, but
It's
I
been-
don't have any issues.
Yeah, and
I don't have
Okay.
any issues with that item.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, it seems like Teams has been a little bit wonky this evening. Apologies for the sound issues. 4D, a picnic table or tables may be provided for public use on the property. This is couched as may rather than shall. It's open-ended, based on presumably the town staff's determination as to whether or not picnic tables are needed there.
I don't think really anyone had an argument about it. I mean, even the abutters, I mean, Barbara even brought up that she would like to see.
There's already a table there.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't see an issue with that.
Everybody comfortable with that one? Ms. DeGoma, comfortable?
Yep.
4E, a bicycle rack may be provided for public use on the property. Again, a may rather than a shall, leaving it open-ended. But if we're encouraging bike access, should be a place to park and bike. How do people feel about that?
Good.
Fine.
Everybody okay? Ms.
Good.
DeGoma? Good. 4F, swimming should occur at one's own risk and signage should advise the public accordingly.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. 4G, refuse containers, garbage cans essentially, should not be provided. Leave no trace, pack in, pack out principles should apply to the property.
Yep.
Yes.
Agreed? Yep. 4H, not the farming club. A porta potty should not be provided unless town staff determine that the public use of the property is sufficient to warrant the provision of a porta potty.
Yep.
Agreed.
Good?
Yes.
Okay. So looking back at all of those recommendations, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 4A through 4H. The only change I have noted so far is adding the sentence to number 3.
Yeah.
We're all comfortable. Okay,
What are we adding to number 3? Oh, yeah,
your recommended sentence.
remember now, sorry.
JPUC recognizes that an abutting property owner has a right of first refusal for this parcel. All right. So then our concluding remarks. While the JPUC recommends that parcel number 4 and 5 be permanently retained for recreational purposes, the committee recommends that the select board monitor the use of these parcels in the future. If the select board determines that the parcels are being underutilized or maliciously utilized in a way that results in environmental harm, persistent vandalism, or damage to property, then the select board should reevaluate the recommendation to retain these parcels.
Fine.
Everybody comfortable with that recommendation or that statement? Yes?
Yep.
Ms. DeGoma?
Yes.
Right.
Note in the minutes, Ms. DeGarmo gave a little yellow thumbs up.
Well, there we have it. The rest of this is just saying that we duly adopted these recommendations at a meeting and listing our names. Are we ready to duly adopt these recommendations with that amendment to item number 3?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion before we proceed to a vote? I will call the roll. Mr. Marker.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Chair votes aye.
Yes.
Yes, Alice.
Ms. DeGoma.
Yes, April. Yes.
That is a unanimous endorsement of this recommendation. And I will proceed to incorporate that edit, take the draft watermark off of this document, and I will provide it to the town manager to provide to the select board on our behalf. I don't know what our next step is. This is likely the last meeting of this committee. It may be that the select board asks us to make a presentation to walk through this recommendation. They may not ask us to do that, but they may.
Or just ask
No,
Alice.
I'm really gonna do it.
Or Alice can do it on her behalf. But I think at this point, we have accomplished our charge of recommending whether to retain or not retain the property and how to use the property if it is retained. So kudos to all of you.
And you,
Good work.
nice job chairing.
Good work.
6 months and meeting it every 2 weeks. I will not, it'll be a little bit of time before I'm used to not having a meeting on Thursday nights anymore. But thanks to all of you for your dedication and participation. I will open the floor to public comments one final time. Dan, do you have anything you wish to say?
Thank you. All of you are doing a good job.
You're welcome. Dr. Beaufay, any final comments? You have been a stalwart at almost all of our meetings. You watched this process from the beginning to its conclusion. Welcome any comments you have as we close our final meeting.
The process has been impressive, and I in part due to your chair, but also the other members. And although none of us probably got exactly what we wanted, it's a reasonable compromise. And I certainly appreciate whoever got us back so we could hear the meeting. I will try to get to the recording that team says it has to see if I can hear the early part that we missed. And I don't know if Miss DeGoma had the same issues, but it was, and I certainly appreciated being able to read the statement even when I couldn't hear it. Thank you.
Sorry again for the technical difficulties, but I'm glad
tried
you were
hard.
able to hear. Yeah. All right.
I just want to say, I appreciate like this deliberative session has been really an amazing experience. I don't learn very much from people who agree with me all the time. I learn the most from people when we disagree and discuss and debate. I really enjoy that. And so I think this will be great, like for Methodist and whatever. It's a neat process.
I was unsure whether we would be able to come to some form of consensus, and we did.
Yeah.
And that's I think the result of everybody being open-minded and listening to other perspectives and taking into account all of the feedback that we heard. I think the recommendation here is a sound one. It's balanced. It balances a lot of different considerations, and I think you all did very good work to come up with that.
And I appreciate all the reach outs and people who came and the input.
Yep.
We had very good input from all sources.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
With that, we'll do one final roll call vote. The motion to adjourn. Kevin?
Yes.
Chair votes aye.
Aye.
Alice, yes.
Ms. DeGoma?
Yes, thank you.
All right. We are adjourned. Thank you all again.
That's the least I have.
When the last lady wants to win.
Okay.
She's
Thank you very much.
Oh,